G'day, you are with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. It's fucked up Friday. It's the very last fucked up Friday for the year. You probably don't need much encouragement today. You're probably still bending from fucking Christmas. I would bend from Christmas till about January the 5th. Then I would write down some goals and New Year's resolutions for that year and break them 3 days later. Not even worth the paper it was written on. So today I'm going to tell a story. I cannot for the fucking life of me remember if I've told it before. I scanned through all the episodes and none of them ring a bell. So I'm going to say it anyway because I can't be fucked thinking of another story. I'm on fucking holiday here. I think it's one of those stories where I've told little bits and pieces and I'll be like, I'll fucking tell it later. But I've told it to so many fucking comedians that I can't remember if I've actually said it on this. So here's the final fucked up Friday for this year. It could be the first repeat of the year. Don't worry, if I've said it before, I'm sure I will make some bullshit up and throw it in there anyway. So it will sound like an almost new story. So here we go. Last Friday, last fucked up Friday. So this was something that happened to me where I was like, Jesus Christ, I've got to fucking turn my life around. I was at the Perth Fringe Festival in 2017 and I was doing a split show with 3 other comedians, Miles Milson, Dom Chapui, and Mark Oshka. The 3 fucking loosest comedians in Australia. I was going to say Melbourne, but it's fucking Australia. There's no one looser than these 3 cunts. And when you're doing a show with loose cunts like that, it's going to be a fucking roller coaster. So it started off, Miles didn't even turn up. He didn't even fly to Perth. He's like, sorry, bro, I didn't catch the flight. I'm like, I gave you the money to buy the flight yesterday. He's like, yeah, I'm transferring it into your account now. Dom had been there a couple of days, so he had already hooked himself up with some meth. I don't know what the fuck Mark was doing. He's from Perth. So I think he was on a bit of a fucking ride as well. So we don't advertise the show at all. We don't market it. We're on late at night. We don't fly her. We're too fucking lazy to fly her. It's a shambles from the start. The first few shows are just fucking dead. And we're thinking to ourselves like we're just fucking losers, which we are. Then we had one show and for some reason it filled up. God knows why it filled up. But it packed out. Me, Dom and Mark all fucking smashed. Then me and Mark are like, fuck yeah, let's get on the booze. Because we're basically gold-plated Hollywood stars now. Like, we are killers. We are murderers. The next few shows got cancelled after that. It was just a fucking one-off. So me, Mark, Dom, we all drank. We drank all night. I was staying in a hostel. And Mark ended up staying the night there. We woke up in the morning. I was asleep on the couch in the lobby. Mark came, woke me up. We're sitting there. I think it was like 9:30. It couldn't have been any later than that. And I woke up still pissed. So I was like, fuck, do you want to keep drinking? He's like, yeah, definitely. I've got no money. I'm like, dude, I know you've got no fucking money. You haven't had a cent since I've known you. So we go to this sports bar and we're drinking and we're hammering them down like fast. And so we're getting fucking sloshed, getting into arguments about who's the funniest cunt in Australia, me or him. They were the only 2 options. It's either me or you. Oh, fucking hell. Then I was giving him some guidance. I'm like, you got to get your life together, man. He was trying to get his missus back. And I was like, first thing you need is a belt, man. Get a belt. That's the first thing you need. Once you get a belt, the rest of it will follow. That's just where you need to start. That's where you're at. By about, fuck knows when, I think it was like around 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we get kicked out of that bar. And then we just go 2 doors down to the next bar, which is one of the most famous bars in Perth. And we're hammered and we get there and they don't serve us. They're like, nah, you guys are too fucking drunk. We're not serving you. We're like, we demand to be served. They're like, fucking no way. And they're like, you've got to leave the venue. This bitch came out. She's like, you've got to leave the venue. You got to get out of here. And we start like looking at the artwork in the thing, ignoring the fuck out of her. She's hating us. She's just getting angrier and angrier. And she's like, all right, I'm going to call the police. And Mark's like, yeah, call the police. I'm like, oh, I'm not too sure about calling the police here. And then he turns to me, he's like, let's just get arrested. I'm like, Mark, I'm not that fucking keen. So I'm like, all right, man, I'm going to bail. So I go out one door, I start walking down the street, and I look back, and the police are there, and Mark walks out directly into an arrest. Like, he walked down the stairs straight into the cops' hands, and they just arrest him immediately. I'm down the street. I'm like 100 meters down the street watching the whole thing, and then the manager comes out and sees me, and she's like, it was that guy too. And they turn towards me, and they see me. I'm like 100 meters down the road, and they look at me, and I'm like, I am at a safe distance here. I'm at a perfectly safe distance here. So I'm like, fuck this. And I'm in the middle of the street, and I put up both my fucking middle fingers, and I'm like, fuck you, pig ass. If you didn't understand what that was fuck you, pig-ers. And then I just started running, and I was so fucking hammered, and I was in flip-flops as well, that I wasn't running as fast as I thought I could go. And I got about 20 meters, and I look back, and this cop is on my ass. Like, he's about 5 meters away from me already. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So I start zigzagging, and then there was no way I was getting away. And I started running directly at a tree. And I think my idea was, I'll run directly at the tree, and then I'll put a step on him, and he'll run directly into the tree, like in a cartoon or something. I think that's what I was planning. So that's what I did. I ran as fast as I could into a tree. I did my step, but my step wasn't big enough. I ran directly into the tree. Like, as fast as I could at that point in time, directly into a huge tree. I miscalculated my big step. I fell over and I ended up in the middle of the road, and this cop just jumps on top of me, just crams my head straight into the ground, and I surrender straight away. Like, my hands are up. I'm like, I give up. I'm done. And then the other cop, a big bastard, comes over with his nightstick and just fucking whams the side of my leg. You'll see it. If you go to my Instagram page, there's a photo of my leg with a massive bruise on it. That is from that night. So they arrest me as well. I get thrown into the back of the divvy van with Mark, and we're both hammered. We're sort of having a little bit of a laugh. Like, we're not worried at all. I was thinking, this is going to be a cool story. This is sweet. Mark's at the stage where he's a little bit incoherent, and then he sort of like pings into consciousness, and he's like, oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Fuck. I'm like, what, man? He's like, I got a warrant out for my arrest. Oh, fuck. I forgot about it. I fucking forgot about it. I'm like, remember when you were saying, let's get arrested? That would have been about the time to remember, don't you think? Around about then would be the good time to remember. So I was like, what's it for? He's like, assaulting a police officer. I'm like, Jesus Christ. How did you forget that? He's like, it was about 10 years ago, and I just never went to court for it. So I'm like, all right, well, fucking hell. You might be in trouble. So they take us to the cells. They throw us both in the same cell. And I'm starting to slightly sober up. So I'm over it. I'm like, what am I going to get charged for? Fucking resisting arrest. Probably drunk and disorderly. So I'm like, fucking hell. Back to court. So the reality was kicking in. Then I was like, fucking hell. I've got a wife and kid now. I can't be doing this shit. This is fucking crazy. And Mark's in the cell with me, and he's calling over the police officers and going, you fucking scumbag dog cunts. He was saying some nasty shit. I was just quiet. He was really having a good kick. So they hated him, and they were just ignoring me pretty much. And he wouldn't give his name, so they were trying to figure out who he was. So they still hadn't found out he had a warrant out for his arrest for assaulting a police officer. So a few hours go by, and the cops come to the cell. They're like, Mr. Boyle, you're right to leave. I'm like, am I charged with anything? Which is a fucking dumb question to ask the police. Just get out of there. Don't go, excuse me, did you forget to charge me? Excuse me, guys, I think you may have missed my charges. Do you reckon you can rustle some up for me? It was so dumb. They're like, no, you're not charged, but you're banned from Perth city centre for the next 6 months. I'm like, well, I don't even want to be in this shithole, so I'm happy with that. I'm like, all right, what about Mark? And they're like, no. We know why he didn't want to give us his name now. Oh, no, Mark will be with us for a little while. I'm like, all right, fuck. Too bad, Mark. I'm out of here. See you later, bro. Catch you later. Stay in touch, bro. So what happened with Mark was they found out he assaulted a police officer. It was a warrant he had out for like 10 years. He got taken from that cell and moved to the remand center to await trial. And he spent like 15 days in the remand center, which is where everyone awaits trial. Murderers, rapists, drug dealers. That's where everyone awaits trial. So he spent 15 days in there. Then he finally got a judge. He adjourned the case and let him out. He came back to Melbourne to await trial. Then he finally got to trial and they just dropped all the charges. There wasn't enough evidence. It'd been 10 years. The judge just laughed and like, get out. The story I got told about his assaulting a police officer charge was he was helping out a friend at a protest and he grabbed a police officer off his friend or something like that. But it turns out what the actual story is Mark punched a police horse. He fucking assaulting a police officer. Assaulting a police horse. That's the kind of person I like to hang with. What are you charged with? Assaulting a police horse. The cunt was looking at me funny. Alright, well that's it. That was the last Fucked Up Friday for the year. We're done. Enjoy the rest of your holidays and speak to you tomorrow.